We are on the verge of collapse, and many of you have no idea. You are about to blame the news. You are about to blame economic uncertainty. You are about to blame anything that you can blame. And so I'm here to tell you today that things are, they've been ugly. And if you thought the crash so far has been ugly, it's about to get a whole lot more ugly. Okay, a whole lot more ugly. And so right now, when everyone tells you we're good, everything's fine, I promise you we are not. Alright, we have a lot lower to go, and I'm about to show you why in this video. It starts off with our good friend, the Nasdaq, and if you don't know what you're seeing here in front of you, if you just want to blame the news when the news finally comes out, or when war breaks out, or when something happens, then you are 10 steps behind the game and what we're doing here. And that's why you'll be 10 steps behind in your portfolio. Guys, what we see here in the Nasdaq is a similar pattern repeating itself, which is when the volume on the sell side gets this high in a month, okay, we've seen this coincides with crashes in the past that date back to 2018 in the Nasdaq of a 22% crash. Right here in 2020 when we had the COVID dip, 28%, 29% crash. And so the last two times we saw volume get this high, once again we had a 22 and a 28% crash. What's going to happen this time with a similar pattern repeating? You guessed it, something similar, right? So between 22 to 28% is what I'm expecting, and you'll notice every time we get support at this purple line here. So that's where I think we're heading, is we'll set that bottom here maybe somewhere near the purple line, unless just total chaos wreaks loose here on the way down, and for the first time we break below this, right? But you can see since the the 2008 crash, we've held this purple line every time in the stock market, right? And so that's where I believe we're heading to next, and that means we got much more downside ahead of us. So when you're looking at this right now and you're trying to figure out, well, how does this affect the price of Bitcoin? That's what I'm about to show you. So let's go back to 2018. You're going to notice that this crash dated from, right here, let's see, from October to December. So from October to December, 3-month span right here, we crashed 23%. Okay, now October to December of 2018, what happened to the price of Bitcoin? Well, let's go and see for ourselves. October, boom, to December, 53% crash. So here you saw stocks drop 22%, or specifically the Nasdaq, not just stocks, but the Nasdaq dropped 23%, Bitcoin dropped 53%. Next example here, during the COVID dip, you're going to notice we crashed how long? 29% in the Nasdaq, and once again, this was from February to March, so once again, let's put this back up. February to March, dropped around 28%, 29%. Now, Bitcoin from February to March, how far low did we drop? Well, from February right here to March, we dropped roughly 60%. So look at this case. We dropped 28% and we dropped 60% in Bitcoin. So you can see whatever the stock market drops, Bitcoin drops a little over double, okay? And so if we apply that logic, and if we apply the same pattern that's happening in stocks, and you apply those ratios to Bitcoin, we're going to get a good idea of how low Bitcoin really is going. And so, once again, whatever amount stocks drop, Bitcoin's usually drop in double. Now, so far, all right, if you look at Bitcoin and the stock market, we're copying the pattern that we've seen, right, when the stock market crashes. So stock market's been crashing since January, since we started the year. Okay, so far it's down 15% so far, okay? Now, if you look at what Bitcoin is down to begin the year from January to now, look at this. Boom, 18%, and we were down 27%, right? We just had this relief rally, and you got to realize Bitcoin started its crash before the stock market, right? Bitcoin began its descent here in November, okay, whereas the stock market began its descent in January. So you can see Bitcoin actually front ran the stock market this time around, and so you still see that the percentages still are pretty damn similar, around 18% drop, while stock market has dropped 15%, but then once again, you got to keep in mind, Bitcoin started dropping first. Now, let's continue with the same logic and thought process. Once again, Bitcoin's usually dropping double what the Nasdaq does, and if we're expecting a 28% drop, 25% drop in the Nasdaq in this time frame, well, what are we expecting here in Bitcoin? from January, boom, down here, 50% drop from the top of that candle is going to get us down to $23,000. That is what I am expecting. I always say it, it's easy to predict the market. It's very hard to trade and position yourself thanks to the emotions that come with managing positions and money, right? Once money's involved, we're totally different beasts here and when it comes to, once again, managing money and dealing with that. We don't want to lose, and so when you have the losing part of the equation, right, of losing money or gaining money, then you act differently than what the charts are telling you. But if we're not talking about actually managing money, we're not talking about anything besides just the charts right now, it's pretty evident, it's pretty clear to see where we are headed. In my opinion, I've backed up my stance now for quite some time, saying that Bitcoin will go below 30K and lower. And a lot of people used to laugh at me. A lot of people used to say that was crazy. Bitcoin will never go below 30K. It seems that as time is progressing, more and more people are starting to actually listen and believe me, which, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because if they didn't believe you at first and now they do, I don't know. They were wrong before, so now they may be wrong, and that means I'll be, you get what I'm saying, right? I don't know. But basically, we expect much further downside in stocks, and, like I said, what you're looking at here is death. Okay, this is death staring you in the face, and we are breaking through that bottom level. This could be a bear trap, right? We can pop back up and then head lower later, right? That loves to happen. Is when you break that bottom level, you stop out anyone, okay, who had their stop loss, who was long this level and had their stops below it. Okay, after you stop those people out, boom, then it pops up, little bear trap there, right? And then it continues lower later with time. So it's interesting to see that, finally we are breaking that level, right? Because we got here a month ago, right? We bounced for a month hard, right? From 335 all the way up to 367, and you would have thought we were safe, right? A lot of people probably thought we were good and we were good to go there, but nope, we were not, and we like I said, we're at the edge of the cliff right here. So that's my analysis here when it comes to using stock market as a correlation with Bitcoin and measuring the magnitude of the downside in Bitcoin. It is not pretty, and a lot of people are going to get crushed here. Luckily here, we study the charts, we watch these things, and we're fully prepared, as we have been for the last, 3 or 4 months. So that's what it is, guys. All right, and hopefully that makes sense. And that's exactly why. If you put a gun to my head and you told me, Alex, you need to nail the bottom. You need to nail the bottom, pinpoint precisely. And you know what? We'll give you 3,000 points of wiggle room. Okay, so meaning you can be 3,000 points off, but if not, you're dead, Alex. Then I would say that $23,000 would be the bottom. That gives me wiggle room up to 26,000 and 20,000. And, well, what do you know? You know what I've been saying is we'll go to 26,000 or lower, right? And a big reason for that is the head and shoulders pattern that I've mapped out here for some time now. And when you measure with this head and shoulders pattern, this gets you down to 26K. So all these charts, they line up together, right? So for example, this gets you down to 26K, right? And that's my target. But then whenever you look at the Nasdaq, okay, and you realize, okay, this thing is going to drop probably 25, 28% from that high, down and close to that purple level. So 26% drop into in this time frame. Then you look at Bitcoin on the monthly as well. So you can see how the pattern lines up with so many things. All these things are cohesive. It's not just like one factor only. And remember, if you're just tuning into a channel, you're new, and you haven't seen all the other factors and reasons we pointed out, then you may think I'm just cherry picking 1 or 2 things here, but there's so many more reasons we went over, right? So once again, 50% drop here, 25, 26% drop here. You can see how that works out. And so it's crazy because this measurement gets you down to 23K, right? Whenever you do this correlation setup between Nasdaq and Bitcoin, right? This gets you down to 20,000. Then you look at the daily time frame and you look at this head and shoulders, that gets you down to 26,000, right? So this thing gets you down to 26,000. This correlation gets you down to 23,000, right? And then if you just focus on the fact that this is a double top, well, typically a double top is going to take you past the neckline, right? Once you break that neckline, usually your expected and measured move would be the length from the midpoint up to the high. But I mean, that would take you down to 13,000 in Bitcoin, which is less likely, but still, once again, very possible. So think about it. You got a head and shoulders that points to drop to 26K. You have a double top, which points to drop to 13K. And you have a correlation that points to a drop down to 23K. So that is why, there's just, it's ugly, dude. It is really ugly. And to me, I think the only reason people are hopeful right now is because they're just dying to get rich quick. And it's really that simple, right? When you want something so badly, you'll be in denial of what's in front of you. But it's all here in front of you. And it's really, really simple. And the Nasdaq's falling off a motherfucking cliff. And if you refuse to see that, then there is nobody or nothing that can help you besides you. I don't know what to say to you. You know what I mean? This is ugly. And, you could say bears are euphoric right now, but, dude, I don't know what to say to you, dude. It's just not good, bro. So, I don't know, bro. I'm just going to end off the video here, and I really just want to explain this correlation between the Nasdaq and Bitcoin, how Bitcoin's got double the percentage change of the Nasdaq, right? And because we expect the Nasdaq to, well, it is literally breaking this level bad right now. Okay, of course, it could be a temporary bear trap, but overall, I think it's very clear the direction is lower. And who's been telling you the stock market would continue lower? I've told you guys that. Actually, right here, I remember I said, look, I'm highly bearish on stocks, right? And this is when a lot of people thought, oh, we're good now, everything's fine, right? And who's been telling you? I've been telling you, people are going to say it's because of war. People will say it's because of COVID. People will say it's because of inflation. They'll blame it on some news event. They'll say it's some black swan. It's not a black swan when you have people like me who expect and see this well in advance. Someone who, once again, shorted the top at 69K, shorted Ethereum at 4,800, shorted Polkadot at $53. Guys, I know you're tired of hearing me brag about my calls, so I won't even go further with the rest of my calls. Guys, that is your technical analysis video for today. And to those of you who were not focusing on the stock market, you just walked off a cliff without knowing it.
Congratulations, you played yourself.